Welcome to the Lighthouse International's Chapter 4 of its e-safety modules. Today we're going to be talking about fake news and misinformation. So to start off with, what is fake news, misinformation, and disinformation? So these three have different meanings, and we're going to go through those meanings today. They're very similar, but they have their differences, which we need to know about. So fake news refers to false information that has been created in a way that makes it look like a trustworthy news report. So you may see these things online. It may look like a legitimate newspaper or news site, but it's not actually any of those. And it gives you information that isn't trustworthy at all. Misinformation. Now, this could be incorrect or misleading information presented as fact, either intentionally or unintentionally. So sometimes when people share information online, that would be counting as misinformation, especially if they're doing it unintentionally or intentionally. Then we have disinformation, which is the information deliberately being incorrect. It can include made-up information like statistics or scientific opinions. It's completely made up and they're pretending they've got it from a good source. So why is it important to identify misinformation? Well, it's everyone's responsibility to identify and report fake news. It takes a collective effort to prevent the spread of fake news and can help keep communities safe. So the reason why we take it so seriously is because, the incorrect information causes problems for your community, but also for people. And knowing the right information about certain topics, especially for governments, finance, political warfare, all that sort of stuff does happen. And we need to know why it happened, and the correct information needs to be behind us, the people, because the people are the ones who can make the decisions. So by calling these people out, we engage our critical thinking, but we're also making sure that the content we get is correct. So why does fake news exist? Well, it can exist for a number of reasons. One, it can exist to help a political agenda. So it appears information that certain political figures or parties use can help validate their opinions, but also can be used to help the people vote for them as well. So they're trying to get the people on their side and using whatever means they can. Sometimes fake news can be easier to believe than the real news. Often enough, the fake news does become almost real to those people because it's a more comforting version of the truth. Fake news can also get more people to engage with the news content. In a click-driven world where we like quick and easy information, sometimes we believe anything, and when we see fake news pop up, we just tend to believe it and engage with it because it seems to be real. So what are some tips to spot fake news? So the first thing you should do if you come across a fishy story on your timeline is to check the story's credibility. So you can do that by asking yourself a couple of questions. Do you recognize the account or the news site that is sharing the story? Are they a legitimate site that you've been aware of before? Is the account of someone who actually knows what they're talking about? All this sort of information. And does the person who's reporting the information have the right credentials to tell the story? We're going to be trusting someone who has a PhD or a doctorate in the area than someone who does not. I'm going to be trusting someone who has a doctorate in science to talk about science facts than I am going to be trusting someone who does not have a doctorate and is a baker. We need to make sure that the people who are talking about the information have the credentials to talk about the information because they know what they're talking about. We also need to check for biases or an agenda. Understanding how and why the story is written can help you a lot with the facts, but also what is the person's intentions? Are they showing favoritism to one side over the other? The information that they're sharing, does it, seem reasonable? Or does it seem like they're trying to put something forward that, is trying to change our opinions or sway us to one side over the other? So we need to understand how the story is written or how this information is written and what it's trying to tell us. So consider how the story is written is another one we talk about here. If you're still unsure, it may be worth opening the article itself and checking it. Is it using simplistic terms or is it emotionally charged? Does it, have stereotypes? Does it not acknowledge or bring context to what it's talking about? Is it incorrect or outdated information because the information looks better for what they want, but it hasn't actually been updated? Is it misspelling? Is it bad grammar? Is it low resolution pictures? Is it being manipulated? So these are the things we need to check for when we read stories and information. If you feel comfortable, it is always a good idea to engage and do a deeper dive into the facts. So, when we see a fake story, it's always good if we do our own research, check multiple sites, multiple sources. It's always worth doing a deeper dive and improving your understanding because it will help you to become a better person online with the information, and then you're going to be able to help the fight against fake news. So with the wealth of knowledge at our fingertips, now more than ever, we need to make sure we are checking our information. So it's important to remember to make sure that you're doing your own research on these topics, to view multiple sources, to check the facts, participate in discussion to understand different points of views as well, be open to others' perspectives and opinions, and do not lock yourself into one mindset. These last three are very important because we're always going to have people with different mindsets, and we need to understand why they think that way. Now, I'm not saying that different mindsets are incorrect, but it's important to understand the different views of people if we're trying to have a discussion or if we're trying to persuade that the facts aren't correct and that these are the correct facts. Having evidence and bringing evidence and facts into the situation is going to help you a lot more than trying to go into a discussion or an argument with no evidence or facts, because if you can't prove your point, it's going to make you look silly in the future. So it's always about making sure you know your information, but also where your information is from and how the information is correct. Once again, thank you for joining us for another part of our e-safety module. We hope if you have any questions, you do reach out to us, and we look forward to presenting more in the future. Thank you.